The black boy just greeted the officer when the white cop shot him dead. In his wallet, they only found an acceptance letter. Not even the shadow of a gun was seen. The officer slammed the car door in anger, cursing under his breath. What pissed him off wasn't killing the wrong person, but the trouble of covering up the scene. After all, to him, as long as the skin was black, emptying the magazine was never a mistake. What the officer didn't know was that the boy's father, Charles, though black, was a well-known judge in the city. It was the first day of his son's college, so he lent his car to his son, never imagining that his son would be shot dead. What hurt him even more was that the police claimed his well-behaved son had been illegally carrying a gun. Suddenly losing his son, Charles cried uncontrollably at the funeral. An Asian mother resigned from her job, vowing never to work for such an ugly country again, and she urged her husband to quit too, but Charles disagreed. He had fought his way to the top of the black community, just to improve the living conditions. That night, Charles couldn't sleep. The next morning, he went to a friend working in the police department, hoping to get some inside information. His friend told him the truth, but because of his position, all he could do was provide information, no further help. Just then, the officer who shot his son came downstairs and bumped into Charles. The officer said he was just doing his job, upholding justice.
You can't even bring yourself to apologize.
I don't apologize for doing my job.
Charles declared he was a judge, and he would use all his connections to make the officer regret this, but the officer still refused to apologize. The mother angrily slapped the officer across the face. To her surprise, he just smiled, because he knew, even though Charles was a judge, he couldn't harm him. The worst that could happen was a resignation. Soon after, Charles met with the mayor. He insisted his son couldn't have been carrying a gun, but the mayor didn't want to hear him out. He just wanted to shut him up with money. What made Charles even more desperate was that everyone stood against him, from the mayor, who was supposed to be his ally, to the officer, who claimed to represent justice, even though their skin color was different. Once they sat in those positions, they spoke for that class. Charles became completely disillusioned with the system. He had no choice but to ask his friend for help. His friend agreed to look into it. The friend found documents on the case, and discovered there had been other incidents of white officers wrongly killing black people. Charles reached out to the families of the other victims, hoping they would file a lawsuit, but they all chose to give up. Some even brought out the Bible. After all, when reality seems hopeless, people always look for something to hold on to. Charles pushed with everything he had but made no progress. Then, suddenly, a report came out. It clearly stated that his son was shot for illegally carrying a gun. It even claimed his son had been a troubled person. Seeing this, his wife completely broke down. Charles couldn't take it anymore. He decided to take justice into his own hands, and end this once and for all.